Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is take 2 of the CHAPPELL ROAN video, and I'm doing it again because the first time it was so incredibly hot. It was like 106 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm gonna say felt like 50 degrees Celsius. It was so hot that the air conditioner was running and it was very loud, and the whole reading and painting was just, didn't sound good. And even with the noise, you know, effect cancelling, reducing thing on my phone, it just sounded like rubbish. So I thought I'd do it again. So I'm here in a quiet room and it's a little cooler today, and I just decided to do it from scratch. So for this video, I'm gonna try something new. Just gonna be filming it while I paint. Which is probably what you want anyway. You don't want anything overproduced. It'll make it a lot quicker for me too. So come on, let's say hello to Hugo. Here he is. He's taking a nap. He's like, no paparazzi, not today. But he's my art supervisor and studio assistant today. Give him a little belly rub. He's my buddy. Oh, he's purring. What a sweetie. So this is my official introduction to the video today. Pretty relaxed, wouldn't you say? And I think that that's actually quite perfect for what we're working on. It's CHAPPELL ROAN, and I'm referring to her as Chappell and not Kaylee because I want to address her through the filter of how she's presenting her creative self to the world. And I've chosen a photo that she is out of costume and out of makeup, but it's still on her CHAPPELL ROAN account. Does that all make sense? So she is presenting as the persona of CHAPPELL ROAN, the performer, but she's without costume. Interesting contrast, right? Very vulnerable, very like, this is me close up without makeup, but with my stage name. So what's more perfect than this is me without makeup and with minimal editing as well. So I think that's actually the perfect treatment for CHAPPELL. Also, I'm just in a t-shirt, you know. I hope you enjoy, and I hope that we turn up some absolute gems because I'm a fan. I love her music. At first it took me a little while to sort of catch on. I thought, is she popular? Then I'm not interested. But then I saw her perform live on Tiny Desk concert, and it was just raw power. It was just blazing with talent and heart. Her heart, that's what I'm interested in anyway. It's like, I'm scanning for your heart. Let me see your soul. If I can't see it, then I'm not interested. Now with Britney Spears, even when she was very clinical and fake, like in the late 90s, I could still see her little sparkling soul in there. Maybe it's because she was like trying to escape her family and just like break out into the world and have her own life. But I could see it. Actually, to be honest, when I'm painting someone, I can see it in all living things. I can see the soul. Well, hang on a sec. I did a portrait of Donald Trump once, and all I could see was dollar signs. It was very vapid and vacuous. He's just a baby that didn't get the attention he wanted. And then the wind changed and he froze in time, like at 3 years old. Okay, there we go. That's my quick reading. Back to CHAPPELL. Ugh, should even mix the two in the same video. Blasphemy. Blah, blah, blah. She's a Pisces with a Sagittarius moon. I think that makes for a like incredible creative powerhouse, but I think that can also be a recipe for do you ever feel satisfied? Not in like a Virgo way, like is it perfect, but like you have such a huge appetite for love and adventure and for life. And do you ever meet someone that can reciprocate in the same way, that you're generously sharing your heart with someone? I wonder. I hope so. I really hope so. I think that if she gets to the point, because right now she's still in her 20s and she's like evolving in real time right in front of our eyes. I know that she's an old soul, but like she's a young human. And she's living her 20s as she should, with no shortage of people that would love to help her along her journey in her love life, right? But she really gets besotted, and she really falls deeply in love. And it's more with the idea of love. It's the dream of love. And then the reality of the person can be so mediocre. And I think that can be quite disappointing for her with those placements. Again, with the arms, I'm gonna have to edit those out. Let's take a look. All right, I'll see you on the page. So this might be a new format. Let's see. You don't really see my face, but you see my hands. Well, I just want you to know I look absolutely gorgeous today, and I'm dressed to the nines. Whether you believe me or not is a different story. Whether I'm telling the truth or not, I'll leave that up to you. Okay, so here we have it. Just gonna get set up, and I'm actually gonna paint Chapel for the second time. The first time it just came out really, I don't know, maybe it was something to do with the humidity, but the colors just started bleeding everywhere, and I wanted to have a fresh take. So, oh look, Hugo's here. Just trying to have a sip of my water. Oh. Okay, take two. Got my reading glasses, and I'm gonna get started. So I did a whole reading on Chapel the other day, and it was quite emotional, and I was getting teary, and then I realized the sound quality was just really bad, and actually I wasn't very happy with I already have to start over again. I wasn't very happy with what I'd painted, so I thought maybe I can just start all over again. So that's what I'm going to do. And although you can't see me, you'll see the process more clearly this time. So with that, let's start again. Something you might not know about me is that I went to film school in Melbourne. And I was very proud and excited to go to film school. And then when I graduated, I realized I just don't really like the film business. Didn't like film people. I worked for 6 months in a reality TV show called My Restaurant Rules, and it was very intense and very opposite of art and creativity. It was like, oh wow, I woke up in the wrong decade. This is not what I meant. I wanted like French New Wave cinema verite, and I was like, oh my god, it's nothing but reality TV. So I quit film and I moved to New York to buy some time to just figure out what I wanted to do. And it took me 20 years, but here I am. I'm making some kind of film and I'm painting. And really, that was the whole reason why I went into film anyway, because I have so many creative hobbies that I wanted something that could include all of them. And I think I finally found it. All right. Did you know that most of the music I put is also my band?
here I am again at it, being a cinema auteur just like I wanted. Just kidding. Alright. I'm going to focus now into Chappell's energy. I'm going to be referring to her as Chappell, not Kaylee, because I want to go into the energy of her when she's in this persona. So although what I'm really interested in is her, whatever she's wanting to share with me, of course, I'm very cognizant of the fact that you know, this may be an unsolicited insight into her energy, but really the purpose of this painting and every painting is really send a message of love and healing if needed. When I paint, I'm painting with my heart, and I'm using my creative intelligence and my guidance system to translate messages from whoever I'm painting. And Hugo the cat just entered the room, so he's going to be my supervisor today. This is one of my favorite brushes. This is a squirrel hair Japanese brush, I think. I love it. Okay, so what I was picking up on the other day when I first went into my investigation of Chappell's energy was, oh yeah, I'll be referring to her as CHAPPELL ROAN and not Kaylee, because this is who she's presenting as to the world, and I don't have an interest in going into her like personal life behind the scenes, but I want to engage with her her higher energy, I guess, the creative side of her, not the vulnerable side that's like working through the mundane human experiences, but the larger side of her that guides her. And you know, I want to find out what messages her higher self has for the world, and what motivates her and what informs her art. So the other day when I attempted the first video and the sound quality was terrible, which could all turn out to be a huge blessing in disguise, because now we're doing this instead. This could be much easier. I just wanted to cry the whole time. Like, my eyes just kept welling up with tears. And it wasn't even like angsty sadness. It was more, it kind of felt like relief, actually. I just felt very watery, and it felt like I wanted to cry for the collective. So I interpret that as Chappell is very sensitive. Of course, as a creative person, you are sensitive. You're sensitive to color, you're sensitive to sound, you have a more refined palette, and you can sense the nuances, and then you can translate that, and you can transform your ideas and your feelings into art yourself. So that's one of the blessings and cursings of the job, is sensitivity. But I picked up an enormous sensitivity, and in some aspects, you know, some hard boundaries and some very wishy-washy ones. And I feel that maybe that can be a challenge for her. I know that she's a Pisces sun sign, and I think she has Sagittarius moon. And I think that that's an amazing combination for an artist, but I think that it could also be very challenging for her in her personal life and her emotional life. I am a Sagittarius, and what I can tell you about that is It's very expansive, and sometimes you, on a bad day, you can feel like you can never quench your thirst. You can never do enough. You can never create enough. It's just more, more, more. On a good day, it's abundance, and you have so much love to give, and so many ideas, and many things feel possible. And so I think this lends itself really well to Chappell in her music, because she's able to feel, oh yeah, emotions. So it's in her moon sign that tells me huge emotions, huge capacity for very bold and broad emotions. And it could be hard to sort of fathom that in relationships, like in intimacy, and how to like feel like you have enough, or like you are with the right person, or you know, the desire for romance could feel very like the world is very mediocre compared to your appetite for adventure and for grandiose gestures of love and that sort of thing, I imagine. And I hope that none of this is true and she's just having a great time and she always feels like she has enough. But I suspect that the tears that I was feeling had something to do with her giant capacity to feel. And I felt a repulsion, that was the word, to the world that was also embracing her. That's pretty tough. You know, to feel such collective emotion on behalf of everyone, which is probably harder being the one feeling other people's feelings rather than the people that are actually going through the experience. Something that I learned as a mum of adopted kids is that when you have a newborn, if you're breastfeeding, then your body naturally provides you with hormones that help you to power through the sleepless nights and all that stuff. I don't know if that's true. I was bottle feeding, and so I was just having sleepless nights and no hormonal rebalance or anything like that. It was just so hard. And so I imagine that's what it's like, feeling other people's feelings on a large scale, is that you don't necessarily have the adrenaline and all that to keep you powering through the actual situation. You're just feeling the aftershock of it. And no doubt all this contributes to her incredible catalogue of work, which sounds very cold to just boil it down to her art, but I'm very happy that she has a channel, an output for all this immense energy that she's conducting. I'm gonna take a quick pause. Okay, I'm back. Had to get some paper towel to blot some of the watercolor if I need it. I love painting with watercolors so much because I really do feel like I'm in collaboration with spirit, with energy. It reminds me of sourdough. I bake a lot of bread. Did you know that I actually have a bread business? And I deliver fresh sourdough to people's homes. What I love about sourdough is it tells you when it's ready. It's very intuitive. I mean, you have to be intuitive as a baker to understand what the bread is telling you. And I mean, it is a living organism, really. So sourdough extracts the wild yeast from the air, and it uses that to leaven the bread, to rise the bread and get those big pockets of air in it. And as I talk about bread, I'm painting her lips. I wonder if she likes sourdough. I would say she's light on the bread, actually, even though being from the Midwest, all that deep dish pizza, I feel like she wants fuel. You know, I'm thinking like stimulants, like fruit, like apricots, peaches. I want to say fennel, but I'm not sure if that's really her. Definitely seltzer, sparkly water. What a beautiful soul we have here. Alright, so I was talking about sourdough. I don't know. I'll come back to it. But yeah, water. That's right. Water, sourdough, kind of similar. You working with that wild card where it can flop. It can just go where it wants to, and it does not want to perform today. It's not going to. And I think that's kind of what happened with the first try I did of this portrait. The watercolor just kind of bled through the paper. I'm not sure what happened, but it wasn't great. And I was already reaching for the white paint to try and fix it, and I just thought, what am I doing here? I'm trying to correct it in the first draft. Why don't we just start fresh? Because when it's flowing, it's just beautiful. You don't need to make corrections. You just go with it. How apt doing a watercolor portrait of a Pisces. One of my dearest friends is a Pisces, Louisa. Hi, Louisa. And something that Pisces and Sagittarius has in common is Neptune, which is dreamy. I think can rule like hallucinations and expansion. Wait, am I getting that right? Neptune, or is it Jupiter? You know what? I'm an astrology enthusiast, and I guess I just focus on what I want to know at the time. And I've been an enthusiast for a very long time, since I was 8 years old, but there's still so much I don't know. Please feel free to share your sun sign in the comments. I would love to know who's watching. You know, I'm also a little bit of a novice at YouTube, and I can't for the life of me find out who my subscribers are. It could be that they are all private and don't want anyone to see who the subscriptions are. Anyway, I'm just gonna assume they're all my bestest friends and continue on talking as such. Because you are, if you're watching this, then we're close. We don't even need to meet in real life. Alright, let's get back to chapel. I sense that she's had a lot of bruising emotionally in her heart, and it was a direct result of not having proper boundaries and just, you know, falling in love and throwing a whole self in there, just being besotted when she falls in love and not knowing how to withdraw without just completely isolating. It's like she wants to just merge, and then she can't get herself back, and she suddenly needs independence and can't be reached. very genuine person. Can you hear the music in the background? It's like Mexican music. Can you even hear me? I'm whispering. Just going so lightly. Just such a tender heart. Tender but ferocious. Delicious. She has a delicious soul. She has a lot to offer. And when I first heard her music, it reminded me of Kate Bush, and then I thought, no, they're so different. It's almost like Kate Bush sounds like her. She has such a... I really feel like her heart is so vulnerable in her voice when she sings. I'm also picking up that since her what seemed like overnight success, which I know took a decade to get the momentum behind the scenes, but since that I feel like she's had some speed wobbles, and I don't see that it's gonna last all that long, but it did sort of hit her for 6, and since then the world has kind of gone through some serious speed wobbles, and it's like she was so disenchanted by this thing that she's been working so hard to achieve for so long, to be known and to be recognized by the world, by her people, to find her people on a large scale. And then she arrives and the world is unpalatable, and the world is just happens to be going through, her world, her country happens to be going through a revolutionary time of reconfiguring, re-examining, and opening up old wounds. That's part of the healing, is opening it up to be exposed to the air, and then so it can be reset or, you know, re-examined and get the proper healing balm. But in one way it's like, no, she really did arrive at this time, at this place on purpose. There's no mistake. That's her higher self. Is like, this is exactly what I was born for. I was born for this time. And she was born at a time just a couple of years after Kurt Cobain passed on. I say passed on instead of passed away. He's still very much present, but in a different form, of course. But he, you know, resigned his spot in the physical world here, and then a few years later Chappell was born. And what they have in common is this incredible talent that is, you know, otherworldly, and also a repulsion and disgust for the world that's embracing them, the culture that's embracing them. Alright, so we were talking about Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was a very formative part of my musical history. I was teaching myself to play guitar, and I was starting my first bands, so I was around 11, 12 when he died. And then when Chappell was born, I was preparing to go to film school, I guess. I was 16. And so the time that she came into was very different from now. Well, we were on the verge of Y2K, actually, where what was it? They were afraid that all the clocks would, I don't know, because we were going into a different century, that it would affect all the time clocks and affect all the computers and I don't know. But it was a big to-do, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. There were cracks, you know. Bill Clinton was the president, and he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky, and so innocence was beginning to be shattered. I guess you could go back to any stage and say, yeah, Vietnam War, innocence was being shattered. But in my lifetime, and in the time capsule that is Chappell's lifetime, there was that. And then also, so when she was born, Britney was peaking with Hit Me Baby One More Time. That was 98, 99. And that was, wow, that's interesting. I kind of feel like Chappell is a result of, I'm going to take the artistry, like we're making a recipe, the artistry of Kurt Cobain and the conflict, the inner conflict of expression and creating and sharing with the world that you actually find so distasteful, and metabolizing that pain in a very public way, and the traumatic exit. Okay, and then we're going to mix into that the totally sanitized Britney Spears comeuppance, right, with Hit Me Baby One More Time, which was then followed by, let's skip 10 years later, to Britney's nervous breakdown in the public eye. Okay, interesting. Kurt was a Pisces and Britney is a Sagittarius. Britney was in my last video about Taylor too, because I was talking about when I was drawing Britney's portrait and I started realizing that these were energetic readings, not just portraits, and I was feeling them, and it brought to my attention that I didn't have any boundaries. And so through trial and error, I had to sort of be more cognizant of what was happening, have some parameters around it. Sometimes I'll be driving my car or taking a shower and I'll start getting downloads or, you know, interactions with, shall I just say, dead people and energies. And it's almost like they don't really realize that I'm busy. They're just talking to me like I'm on the phone. And it's, you know, it's not pervy. It's not like they're watching me have a shower, but it's like, oh yeah, I see you're online, let's chat. And I'll have to pause and be like, no, let's make an appointment. You can meet me at the paper. I'll start painting and you can really tell me all about it. But right now, I'm doing the groceries. Right now is just not a great time. So that's what I mean by, you know, treating this more with the respect, taking it seriously. Okay, so people who don't have boundaries. You know, what's interesting, once again, here we are. Chappell's face just wants to start blurring again. I'm just going to have to take this as intentionally part of the portrait. This is part of her. How beautiful is that? I'm very moved to be working with a similar palette as Taylor, but there's more purple and blue in here. There's a lot of pinks. So I have what I think is called synesthesia. Sounds like a seizure. my understanding of whatever that word is that the nerves in your brain like kept growing longer than other people's, and I basically associate words and sounds, numbers, everything has a color. So for example, the color 9 to me is pink, and not just a color but like a feeling, so good or bad. Now that sounds a bit like magical thinking. Anyway, so when I'm painting and I'm picking up the feeling of that person, like sad, happy, whatever, and then I get drawn to colors, and it's not like, oh, this is very sad energy, I'm gonna reach for the blues. It's not that obvious sometimes, but it's, to me, it's like cooking. It's like tasting it as I go. It's like, oh, it needs a little bit more of this, needs a little bit more of that. And it honestly does feel like you know, sometimes I can tune into another person. Like if I'm massaging someone's foot, for example, I can feel in my body where it's tense for them, and so my hands know where to go to you know, to detect like where the knots are in that other person. Like if I'm massaging shoulders, I can feel, it's actually in my hands. It's like my hands have scanners. I don't feel it in my shoulders, but I can feel the tension. It's like it is like a metal detector, like ding 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 ding, ding beep beep beep. But I just feel like a force field, an energy field of like it's tense, and then when I reach the target and apply the pressure, it's like relief. I can feel it in my body, and I can also hear them go, oh, that's where it is. Same thing with painting as well. Like as I move my brush around here, I can feel where it needs to go, and it's just like a magnetic. It's like, oh, it needs to go there, and it feels, it's like an itch or something, like, oh, gotta hold my breath until it lands in the right place. Do you have that too? Please let me know in the comments below. And is there a word for that? What is the word for that? When I was in film school, I liked to hang out a lot with the drama kids, and they had a teacher who was very witchy, and starts with L. Oh yeah, Lindy. Pretty sure it was Lindy. Lindy Davies? Is that right? Lindy Davies. Yeah. She was very powerful, very good, expert at what she did, but she worked mainly with energy. It was like kinetic, it's not kinesiology, but it was like kinetic energy. And she would instruct everyone to wait until you feel the impulse and then deliver the line. Feel the impulse and then strike when the iron is hot. And a lot of people had no fucking idea what she was talking about, and they could not do it because they were also very, I guess, attached to the outside, you know, what it meant to be an actor from the outside. This brings me back to Chappell, actually. Since her big blossoming into the stratosphere like a year ago with Good Luck Babe and all the hits that followed, I feel like what she wasn't expecting was a little bit of a shake-up and a shakedown of some of the facades that she had also built up as protection, as, you know, like her makeup and the masks and the, like the drag queen facade is, it's spellbinding and it's disarmoring, but it's also, you know, it's protection and it's armor, and behind that is a fragile underbelly, and she has a lot of very valuable, you know, her energy is limited, and her powers are fierce but fragile, and she needs to guard these resources with her life, is how it feels painting her. And I feel like one of the plot twists of her success was that she didn't necessarily, not that she didn't appreciate the warm reception, but yeah, this feeling of repulsion and disgust keeps coming up, and bitterness and just deep despair with what the fuck is the world doing right now, you know, with this toxic masculine energy starting wars and like reigniting horrible memories from the past. It's like the deportations and it's so crazy too. It's like not it's in some ways it's worse than before, because they're deportations to countries that the people aren't even from, and then not just like taking them out of the country, but then putting them in a prison. Like their existence was illegal, like they did something wrong. All of these things absolutely repulse Chappell and Gaza, and I mean that we all know that she was public about that. I don't really want to talk about too much that is widely known, because that'll just keep me in my sort of thinking side of my brain, and wanting to access her through the lens of my feeling side, which is the side that I'm painting through. This needs to dry before so I did something a little bit risky. I painted some turquoise over orange while it was drying, and so it's has the potential to just make brown, which is okay because there's definitely brown in her hair and it will be vibrant, but I'm just going to take a break and like dry in between layers. She has this gorgeous curiosity. Like a childlike wonder in her eyes. She definitely presents like she has this edginess, like a sauciness, saucy mix. But I'm really picking up a tender heart that believes in fairies, or did, like when she was 4. I feel that like one of the happiest times in her life was when she was little, 4 or 5, so playful and strong arms, like quite active, riding bikes, roughhousing, playing in the dirt. There's a real gentleness here. So poetic. The ability to look at someone and feel them, to really feel them, feel their heart, to tune into them. She has that. And I think that she probably, early in her love career, felt strong potential for her lovers, but they didn't live up to it, at least not yet. And the disappointment was crushing, because the disappointment was like they weren't ready for her. I do realize that this is all in one of her most famous songs. But I feel like I'm seeing the backstory to that. Just crushing. But not forever, because that Sagittarius moon, you know, she walks away in one piece. She might lament it forever, but she also has everything she needs in a backpack. You know, home is where a hat is in one way. And I do get that she feels most at home on the road. Solitude while traveling would be the ideal. If you could have a bath on a tour bus, that would be ideal. That's what I'm picking up for her. Or a, you know, just a small swimming pool on a tour bus or plane would be ideal. I wonder how she feels about ocean liners. I guess that would be too slow. But that would be quite perfect, is to do those shows on cruise ships. But that, yeah, it'd have to be the right thing. Can't be too tacky. It have to have some real authenticity to it. Star power. I love her friendship with Elton John. There's something, I must confess, there's something a bit swami that I felt about, no, I shouldn't even talk about that. Alright, there are some pop stars that make friends with other pop stars, and it feels disingenuous, or it just feels like they're getting a favor, like the favor of fame or something. And then there are other friendships that just seem so beautiful and so correct. And her friendship with Elton John that blossomed seems so beautiful and sweet. And it does feel like mentor and mentee, and there's nothing transactional about it. And I think one of the surprises and delights that came with her sudden fame that she'd been working very hard for 10 years was that friendship that I don't think she was quite expecting. I think it happened so naturally because she wasn't trying really hard. She wasn't like, oh my God, my mentor. I think he just looked at her and he recognized past friendships, like, oh, hello again, Kate Bush, hello again, Freddie Mercury, hello again, George Michael. Like, she is really a beacon for a lot of artists that have passed that are joining in with her in the fun. Not necessarily guiding her, just joining in on her, because they acknowledge and fully respect the majesty, which is her own powerhouse. She really is like a lighthouse. So in my past video, I said that Taylor is like the Wi-Fi. Well, Chappell's like a lighthouse, which is actually quite perfect because she's out at sea, right? And she's guiding ships. Gosh, she feels so protective of her people. I love that. So she does have a channel to be able to, or a forum to channel her disgust and her deep feelings of injustice by being able to not just be the high seer, but the beacon of light that can guide people and protect them and guide them to safe harbor. And she loves having that. She loves the risk of doing it so publicly, where other people have been shy. She relishes being able to be brave. We're talking about the connection between colors and feelings. I'm feeling these colors right here when I talk about the bravery and the guts and the gall. This is like her, remember that performance where she sort of dressed up as Joan of Arc? these are the feelings. These are like, if this was a piano, these would be the notes for that. But I will leave plenty of space for these layers to dry, glazing as it's called. But I want to put a couple of dots in there. Gorgeous, gorgeous eyes, like 2 rock pools here. What a stunning beauty we have on our hands here. Stunning beauty. And I'm talking a lot about her energy, really. I chose a photo that she doesn't have much makeup on, very minimal, so that I can see her soul more clearly. That's what I'm really interested in. So I'm a Sagittarius with Scorpio moon and rising, and I like to suck the marrow out of life. How's that? And when I'm doing a portrait of someone, I like to see right into them, right into the depths of their heart and their character. And I'm coming in as a healer with an intention of bringing warmth and healing. And if I was performing Reiki on someone, I'm becoming the same exact energy. It's like I visualize my hands are like, it's like a warm shower head, and I'm radiating heat and soothing over my subject, powering them up, clearing them out. It's like healing and cleansing and soothing. Oh, I love how someone just hit a hammer at that same time. So soothing. I love these eyebrows. Putting a little touch of orange, and with her eyes, just marking the tips of her eyelashes and the eyeballs, fixing her gaze in here. I love such a relaxed little snapshot here. Just surrendered. Beautiful. In the car. I think the caption to this photo on Instagram was, "Hey girls." She's cheeky. She's cheeky, but she's also so beautifully sincere. That's her power. That's her strength. She's open. But I do feel that because she's authentic and because she's open and real, I think that's definitely part of her appeal at the moment. That's exactly what the world needs. But I don't feel concerned for her or worried for her like I did with, like, for example, Brittany. And I think that's because Brittany was really pretending to be okay. And I could see that she is strong and she's going to be okay. But also, you know, when I think of Brittany, I feel it felt nauseous about those times when she was trying so hard to hold it together and just like collapsing and freaking out. If she could have been more okay with herself and more embracing, I think she would have had an easier time. So that's what gives me great comfort with Chapel, is that I know that she can handle a lot. I do feel that she also feels like the salt more than other people. I know that's where her power comes from as a creator, but like I know that she is going to be okay. She's not going to chuck a Kurt Cobain, but I also, you know, I do feel her acute sensitivity. It can be so fucking painful emotionally, and sometimes she feels lost at sea, like she doesn't really have someone who can feel it with her. But I think she's found a few trusted people, and as long as she stays kind of anchored, she'll be all right. She does need to loosen her grip on anything that feels safe and comfortable that's superficial. So I love how she, you know, almost in a way that PJ Harvey said something like, she wants to push herself to be more garish and uncomfortable and like talking about subjects and looking in a way that's quite vulnerable and doing, you know, putting it out there in a way that really abandons your ego and your vanity. And I think that's what Chappell does sometimes with her costumes. They're so larger than life that it's, you know, it's very protective. You can hide behind it. And I think that so long as she can stay balanced and keep her, I think it can be quite jarring. Like, there's no shortage of adoration coming her way at all times. She's sort of like Justin Bieber in the way that she draws people in. And then, of course, she wants to have all the experiences, but she has to be careful not to get washed out at sea. Because what other people might feel is like you know, like a dalliance or flirting, she can really get pulled in by the undertow, and then she's out sort of alone in a sea of emotions. Well, she's been there before, and I think she's going to be very guarded to not go there again. And, you know, we can see that with her professionalism around privacy. And, you know, she mentioned that she fell in love, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I hope that's going well. But, you know, she hasn't announced who it is, or, you know, you can't find pictures or anything like that. And that's all because of safeguarding something that's special and fragile. And it's actually, you know, it's not that common. Look at Taylor and Travis. They're just like walking around, holding hands, smooching. Not Chappell. Anything that is sacred is going to be secret. I think that might be the title. Alright, I'm going to let this dry because I don't want it to get too blurry and wishy-washy. I want some crisp elements in here. I want to be precise with my words and precise with my brush strokes for around her eyes and around her mouth and little parts of her hair, and then the rest can just kind of flow. But I want to get her eyes really clear and crisp, because that's like her gaze. It's crystal clear and it's fluid and it's translucent and it's so beautiful. I want to try and capture that essence right here. Alright, I feel like this painting is complete. As you can see, I've left plenty of space in the painting for the brushstrokes to be visibly separated like a loose braid. so that the emotional content of her character can just easily come through nice and loose. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Lots of love. Bye.